General Grievous. How did Dooku find the time to train you in the Jedi arts? Isn't that like a whole childhood worth of time thing? Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zereth Prevails. We're doing another crash course, folks. This is the new series that I'm trying to do these in somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes to show you guys just a crash course of how these teams work and how everything goes with it. And General Grievous is one of my very favorite teams, folks. I've always loved it. Still very relevant today, taking out a lot of really strong teams, and I'll show you guys that. Here's my old graphic for honoring my patrons. I wanted to get this new one out. It's not the finalized version. It's not as fancy looking as I'd like, but I will say thank you so much to all my patrons. It's been long overdue that I've shown this graphic at the start of every video. You guys are truly the real heroes. Thank you so much for everything. I couldn't do this without your support. I truly couldn't. So thank you guys so much. And for those of you who want to support the channel for free, all you've got to do is hit that like button, subscribe, comment, help me mount the algorithm, folks. General Grievous would even mount the algorithm if he was anatomically capable. I am sure of it, guys. I'm convinced. So that being said, let's go to the overview of this team. It's a General Grievous team with B1, B2, Magna Guard, and then either Newt, BB-8, or Droidica. Droidica is exclusively territory wars, folks, and you need that Omicron. It's not negotiable. If you want to deploy him on defense in territory wars, I guess you can do that, but your opponents are going to get some really easy kills because that, like in territory wars, there's a lot of resources that can actually take him out. But with the Omicron, he really, you'll see, he messes with people. So overall, guys, he kills Starkiller, Maul, Commander Luke, Jedi Master Luke, and Sith Eternal sometimes, not always, but sometimes. He takes out a lot of stuff. On defense, usually gets taken out by Wampas, depending on what the Datacron set is. Of course, there's always that to take into consideration, but if there's Droid, or probably Separatist is my guess, is going to have some pretty good Datacrons, then potentially this team won't get killed by Wampa. I'm not totally sure. In 3v3, he is significantly less awesome, but GL Newt, the team on the bottom there, is very strong. Takes out Qui-Gon Jinn, takes out the new Tusken squad in 3v3. A very strong squad. General Grievous rides the pine a lot of 3v3, though, unfortunately, at least for me. Now, here's the Zeta Order, folks. BB-8 probably I overreacted and put him, like there's one where if he dodges, then he heals the rest of his team. That one's kind of nice to have, but I don't think it's absolute priority. The ones they've listed on the left are absolutely the priorities here, folks. The rest of them, Magna Guard and BB-8's not totally necessary. And this is the order I would do. I mean, you could argue that Newt Unique should go a little bit higher. All of them are very important. I will say this, folks, that for the price that we're paying for this team, I mean, 6 Zetas, it's not too bad. And then, of course, you need the Omicron for Droidica. So here, let's turn my face off for just a second while I show you guys my target lock graphic. I spent way too long on this. I have one more page of it as well. This just kind of breaks down how much turn meter gain you get for every action. So you guys are gonna have to look at it yourself, but it's found all over in different kits, and it's an important thing to realize that even though Grievous's leadership with his Zeta looks like he's not gaining much turn meter. I mean, it's like 2% or doubled with Grievous. Like, it doesn't even say 4%. But if you look at this, like, if B2 just does a basic attack on someone with target lock already, General Grievous gets 17% turn meter. So if B2 does an AoE on a bunch of people who already have a bunch of target lock, Grievous gets an immediate turn, basically, unless something is stopping his turn meter gain. So that it's fairly important, folks. This is this team relies on turn meter, and if you don't get it, you might still have some play in the sense that they'll kill your characters and Grievous will take bonus turns. You might be able to jumpstart something, but for the most part, this is how it works. Here's where you get the target locks, folks. You guys can take screenshots of this. I was thinking about making some of these infographics exclusive to Patreon. I'm not really sure. You guys can let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Of course, if you're not a Patreon, then you probably don't want me to do that. But here's where you get them, at least, folks. Here's the target lock one. Screenshot them if you want. Or, eventually maybe I'll put them up on my Discord server. You can find the Discord server link in the video description as usual. Now, in terms of General Grievous, well, hold on a sec. Alright, whoa, you get my face back. Lucky you. So, General Grievous, he wants all the health. Remember, all of his damage is based on his health. And it doesn't matter how high his offense is. Nothing he does is based on offense, unless you have some kind of weird rules interaction where you specifically rely on that number for some other interaction. But that's only happened once or twice, I think, that I can remember. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that he does want to be pretty fast. If you're countering those like Mara Jade teams with Starkiller, then he really wants to be fast, because even though 283 isn't like crazy fast, that with BB-8 you're going to be able to outrun. I think my Grievous is somewhere over 450 effective speed if he's fighting an Emperor Palpatine Mara Jade Starkiller squad. So you also want potency to be able to start your turn meter train, to be able to start landing. He is the only AoE target lock on his team, which is really nice, but you need to be able to land it. And remember, you can ramp up your potency over time, but in certain fights you can't really afford to ramp up. You need to just have a lot of potency. So he's very stat hungry. He really wants a lot of health for extra damage because he's your main damage dealer. He wants a lot of speed because he wants to outspeed Mara Jade, and he wants a lot of potency to land those target locks. All right, folks, that's the long and the short of that. B1, remember, he assists every single time, and the only stats that are relevant to him are speed, offense, and potency. Otherwise, anything with health, anything with crit. Remember, he doesn't crit. He can't crit. He also boosts his team by quite a bit. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that he's giving his whole team, at the start of the match, he's giving them 50% tenacity and 50% crit avoid, which can really be capitalized with the other droids on his team. He's also assisting every time, which can really come in handy when you're doing fighting. It's fun. Potency is nice because he can spam his special. He just uses it. It's a cooldown one, and as long as he can apply target lock, it's pretty nice. It does pretty good. And then he's also hitting every single time any of his teammates go, which is it adds up to be quite a bit of damage, and so it's very, very worthwhile. Even though you don't use all of his stats, all of his health and protection and stuff, you still use that offense, which is pretty nice. B2 is able to dispel everyone, but he's more than that as well, folks. He's able to so he dispels everything. He reduces his own cooldowns. He's also going to be giving you a lot of turn meter as you debuff people. I don't think I added that because I didn't have room. But the big thing about him, guys, is he relies on turn meter gain specifically. He needs that turn meter gain. And so if he gets dazed or stunned, he stops being useful. So you want tons of tenacity. So I have him at 186, and then B1 also gives him another 50 on top of that to start with. So he's very, very difficult to debuff. Some people can do it, but for the most part, it's worth the hit to your health or protection to get a crit avoid arrow, because remember, you have a 50% crit avoid from B1 as well, and you're able to, so with that arrow, he's able to go to 85% crit avoidance and all that extra tenacity. Really, really nice stuff. And the potency, remember, guys, it's nice to have potency. It really is on him, but he will ramp over time, and he takes a lot of turns to do AoEs, and he ramps really quickly. Magna Guard is modded almost the exact same. You basically just want a ton of tenacity. I have mine a little more shabbily modded here, folks, just because I don't know, I feel like he's a little less important. This is like Relic 5 stats, I believe. I could really stand to upgrade some of these guys, but I added the droid battalion thing just to remind you guys that he does gain that extra tenacity from B1 as well. Starting him at 200% tenacity is pretty nice, in my opinion. And because he's your main tank, you also would benefit from having him have some protection, and then he does a lot of counter attacks. It'd be nice to have some potency on him if you can afford it. It's tough to mod B-level characters like that. And then we do have Newt Gunray. He's got no nose, and you don't really. Here's the thing, he's passive. All the things he does, yes, he pushes extortion onto people, but he doesn't benefit from all that turn meter that General Grievous is handing out. And so he kind of just sits there and facilitates. Every once in a while he takes a turn, applies extortion or whatever, but extortion isn't as big of a deal unless he's the lead. The biggest thing is whenever you do a debuff to someone from your team, any separatist that does a debuff, it does 5% max health damage. Now, that seems like maybe a small amount, but you're doing a lot of debuffs to people. If you take time to read the kits and all their attacks, you're doing a lot of debuffs. Not to mention, you're also giving yourself a lot of turn meter based off of that General Grievous leadership. If you want to go look at that slide a few minutes ago, you can see that it's absolutely an important one to be able to look at. So BB-8 is the one who facilitates the Grievous really fast team. He gives 40% max turn meter to his team, or starting turn meter to his team. And so you really, like, the reason I have him modded this way is because of how he goes with Jedi Training Rey. And there's not really, like, he just sits there and gives turn meter at the start of the turn. Sometimes he taunts, depending on if you've applied that Omega. Your call on that one. He usually just dies before the end of the match. Which is fine, because it makes Grievous angry for some reason, and he goes and stomps some noobs, and that's great. He also, if he gives that secret intel, which you have to do a special to be able to get it after BB-8 takes his first turn, once you have that secret intel, then it gives you another 25% potency, which is pretty nice for this team. Otherwise, BB-8 just a passive turn meter machine. And then Droidica is you want offense, and I don't have him modded the way I want him to right now, and I wasn't gonna fake you guys out and show you guys a set that wasn't that great. So just keep in mind, mine is at Relic 6, doesn't have all 6 mods on or anything. If you wanted to take him really seriously, you probably want his damage to be over 10k. If you're putting an Omicron on him, then it's probably warranted to make him really, really strong. Just remember, he starts with damage immunity in Territory Wars with the Omicron, and when he starts with that damage immunity, then he's also way less fast, so 50% speed, so he's only at like 75, 76, 77, I guess, percent speed. No, that's not right. We're not going to take the time. Maybe it is 77, but anyways, he becomes really slow, and then he's got the damage immunity, so he can't be hurt, and it's a whole mess. It's been taking Territory Wars by storm, this Omicron. I've applied it on both of my accounts. Very, very impactful. So that being said, let me go show you how some of these teams are used on offense, shall we? Let's do it, guys. So first off, we have the pretty classic matchup of Grievous versus the CLS team. And let's see, that's not the right button. Here we go. So they shoot Newt, and you get an instant turn with Grievous. Remember, Magna Guard is pseudo taunting because he puts everyone but himself and Newt into stealth. And so once they kill Newt, you get a bonus turn with Grievous because one of his separatist allies is dead. And so you notice everyone has target lock. You can't hit back when you have target lock, and so everyone's just kind of hanging out here. You need to. So I took the time to stun Chupio there, but you want to kill Chewie so that you get rid of that guard. Once guard goes away, then you can actually crit people. You can do some extra damage to them. And look at that. We even called the mass assist on Luke, and then he baited his extortion, everyone. He found out that we knew about him kissing Leia. It was awkward and stuff. Let's see. I'm wondering if I went... No, I didn't get all spiteful and kill 3PO first. That's too bad. That dude deserves it. Another thing to remember, guys, you don't get terrible banners. 65 is the max here. You don't get terrible banners with Grievous unless things go wrong. But you do always lose a couple. Almost always, at least, folks. So let's go. So the next one is the pretty classic matchup of him versus a Starkiller team. This is from a little bit ago, I think. Yeah, look at that. It's only a gear 13. Oh no, I think it was fully relic. It's just showing the 85 because they hadn't updated the user interface yet, the graphics on the top right. So yeah, because Mara Jade would be at least relic 5 right now to be able to unlock Starkiller at all. So yeah, this is against one of the best, I believe, one of the biggest accounts in the game. And you can see that we went first because of BB-8, and that's the only reason we went first, because, and then we were able to, because Grievous was so fast, he did his AoE, got target lock on people, BB-8 dies, of course, he dies a horrible death, and it's kind of nice though because that jump starts Grievous again, and like you kill Visas, because otherwise, a lot of times in this comp, the way it pans out is you kill someone, you kill like Mara Jade, and then she's immediately revived by Visas. Now, all this turn meter gain from target lock is super nice. Remember also that the Starkiller is, he wants to hit you back. He wants to counter you, but he can't really because he's target locked. So, yeah, not the greatest banners. You drop 6 or so, but I mean, it's pretty consistent as well. Final fight here, folks. We've got Grievous versus Maul. So yeah, we've got, gosh, we even have days on Grievous and Mark. Yeah, it's kind of a weird one actually, guys, because we're I think there's datacrons in effect here, but the idea is that they're hitting your characters, and you note that they didn't get days off on B2 or Magna Guard because they have such high tenacity, and so what you're doing is just waiting for them to take a turn. B2 gets his turn, does his AoE, dispels that the frenzy on Maul, so Maul can't get his like 100% turn meter for someone doing something fancy, and then you just go crazy. Remember, every time someone has that taunt, it auto dispels all of their debuffs, so it might take a while to do this. I think this team had Savage on it, in fact, so that was kind of weird, because even though it seems like Maul and Savage would go really well together, and they don't necessarily do terribly together, they also don't necessarily like Savage needs Sith to go well. So the rest of this video is just a long video of me trying to kill Savage. I don't want to take the time for that. So there it is, folks. There's the crash course on the Grievous team. I hope it was helpful to you. Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.